has combined every single Nintendo Switch 2 rumor into a single place. So the biggest thing I'd like to highlight is that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have an LCD screen, not an OLED screen, which is, of course, going back down at technology. And to me, it makes sense as well because you're trying to keep the costs down. And not to mention, now we've had the Steam Deck, we've had the Asus ROG Ally. Asus has also released one or two additional versions of the ROG Ally. There's the Aya Neo 2, there's the GPX. There's a bunch of portable handheld consoles that are now available for everybody to play their games on. It's like, how do you differentiate yourself beyond your game catalog? So the LCD screen was the big thing that I was like, oh wow, that makes sense. And it's also going to be a very divisive issue. So they're expecting the announcement date to be March 2024, which is the 7-year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch, and then available in holiday 2024 season. Some person has actually said, actually, it could be September 24th, 2024 as a potential release date. So again, same similar two versions of the Switch 2. It could be and this, of course, the same design, hybrid handheld console for people like me who usually like to play it in the sort of handheld mode. And then the specs is going to be DLSS 3.1. Of course, it's still using NVIDIA's technology. 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is impressive. I think so many people use 8 gigabytes of RAM. Ray tracing supported. So far, 3 games have been demoed on the Switch 2. Of course, the developer units that exist out there in the wild. The Matrix Unreal 5 tech demo, Breath of the Wild. That's pretty interesting. Breath of the Wild, Switch 2 version, and Final Fantasy 7 R. And I forgot what the R means. It's just Final Fantasy 7 R, right?
That would be Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Oh,
That would
okay, okay,
be, yeah.
okay. Good to know.
That would be pretty significant, I would think, because that's the one that people are like, why is that one exclusive to PlayStation? That's wonderful news, though.
It is, and it says so. There's going to be AI tech inside to help upscale and launch titles. Apparently, Metroid 4 might be a thing. That would be pretty nice. And then that is it.
Nice.
Some interesting news. The LCD screen, I think, is a bit of an issue, but honestly, it's not that huge of an issue. If you're handheld gaming, I don't think it's going to matter. And as long as the Switch 2 has the hardware to output 4K, they didn't mention it in the rumors, but that's the big thing for me. I'd love to put my Switch 2 in. I'd love to get native 4K on my big TV or on this monitor that's in front of me right here. But yeah, any thoughts, gents?
I think it's a missed opportunity. I think that what they should have done is they should have released 2 models, one with an LED screen and one with an LCD screen, and see what the market kind of demands. Because I think, yeah, obviously you want to keep the prices down. Like, for instance, the PlayStation Vita did that, where the original one had an OLED screen, and then the later ones had an LCD screen, and that was to cut prices. But there was still, of the demand there was for a Vita, there were still a lot of people who preferred the OLED version and would want to get originals because of that. So I think this is a missed opportunity where they could have had a Switch 2, and I don't know what you would call it, a Switch 2 Plus, Switch 2.5. But yeah, also, if it were me, I don't know. This is just my thoughts. If I was a marketing person, like for instance, we're always saying that like you have the PlayStation 5 and then you have the PlayStation 5 discless, and then you have the Xbox Series X and then the Xbox Series S, and the X is the flagship one, and then there's the cheaper model. I would have said it like, where instead of saying, oh, here's the Switch with the OLED, here's the cheaper version of the Switch, I would say, here's the Switch with the LCD, and here's the upgraded version. So instead of like saying we have our step here and we're taking a step down for the cheaper crowd, it's, this is our thing. Look at how marketable it is. And hey, if you really want to get the fancy version, we got one for you too. That's just how I would be.
Did you? I never played the OLED. Does it really increase your gaming experience? Because I see the Switch of my son, and it's really pretty nice. So, is it really an important upgrade?
It's not
Like,
important.
it's
The
really
biggest
thing?
the biggest deal is the angle of viewing. It's a little bit easier to see it from almost any angle, and also with
Oh,
OLED, the blacks are like really black, whereas with LCD, the blacks are sometimes backlit, so it just makes it look a lot crisper, and it looks a lot more sharp because you can have the blacks actually be black. Yeah.
so better experience overall when you play a game.
I would say the difference is between saying watching a TV and watching something with a projector. Something with a
Oh
projector can
yeah,
look
yeah.
absolutely wonderful, but you're not going to have that contrast between the really dark blacks and the bright colors. There's always going to be a glow to it, and the LCD kind of has more of that, and the OLED would it be more like a TV where you can get like a much more dark black in it. That's the difference.
Fair enough. You sold me. Yeah. I'd prefer the TV rather than projectors. Yeah.
The easiest comparison for people is just your phones, right? I would say almost 70% of phones these days, mid, upper high to high end phones use OLED screens. Or even better tech than that. So it's like me. I love playing Marvel Snap on my phone just because the OLED screen looks way better than honestly on my big screen